On a freezing morning in rural Wyoming, something happened that no one in town could explain. Something so small yet so powerful that it would later touch the hearts of millions. Thomas, a retired carpenter, had just taken his first sip of hot coffee when he looked outside his frosted kitchen window and froze. His loyal German shepherd, Bruno, a healthy dog with a thick winter coat and the gentlest soul he had ever known, was curled up in the snow outside, shivering slightly as snowflakes gathered on his back, even though the warm, insulated doghouse Thomas had built with his own hands stood only a few steps away. Confused, Thomas stepped outside, his boots crunching against the ice, and called for Bruno. The dog stood up wagging his tail, but when Thomas moved toward the doghouse, Bruno suddenly stiffened, lowered his head, and let out a soft growl. A quiet warning, nothing aggressive, just enough to say, "Please, not this." Thomas stepped back, shocked. In all the years he had owned Bruno, the dog had never growled at him once. That night Bruno slept outside again, lying in the snow with his eyes fixed on the doghouse as though guarding it. The third night was the same, temperatures dropping dangerously below freezing as Bruno refused warmth, choosing instead to stare toward the shelter like something inside mattered more than his own comfort. Unable to bear it any longer, Thomas came up with a plan. The next morning he cooked Bruno's favorite treat, grilled steak cut into tender pieces, and coaxed him into the house. The dog hesitated, glancing anxiously between Thomas and the doghouse, but slowly stepped inside. The moment he crossed the doorway, Thomas gently shut the door. Bruno whined urgently and scratched at it, but Thomas knew he had only seconds to uncover the truth. He grabbed his boots, a flashlight, and walked toward the doghouse with a racing heart. When he knelt at the entrance and shone the light inside, his breath caught. Curled tightly in the back corner was a weak raccoon mother, her fur wet from melting snow, her breathing shallow and strained. Pressed against her belly were 6 tiny newborns, their fragile bodies barely visible beneath her trembling frame. The mother didn't lunge or hiss. She didn't even try to move. She was too exhausted, and when her tired eyes met Thomas's, there was no fear, only trust, as if she understood he meant no harm. At that moment, the truth hit him like the cold wind. Bruno had known. Somehow, with instincts humans can't begin to understand, the dog had sensed a desperate mother seeking safety. And instead of claiming the shelter built for him, he had surrendered it without hesitation, choosing to sleep in the freezing snow so she and her babies could live. That evening, with quiet respect, Thomas built a second shelter near the treeline, filling it with hay, blankets, and warmth. Carefully and gently, he relocated the raccoon family, while Bruno stood nearby watching silently, his eyes soft, his tail brushing lightly against the snow as if assuring them they were safe. In the weeks that followed, Thomas often saw Bruno checking on the second shelter. He never barked, never chased them away. He simply stood a respectful distance back, his calm presence like a silent guardian watching over a family that wasn't his own. That winter, Thomas witnessed something he would never forget. A dog's instincts could have told him to protect his territory, defend his comfort, or chase away intruders, but Bruno chose compassion. He chose discomfort for himself so a mother and her babies could survive the harsh winter. Some of life's greatest lessons don't come from words. They come from quiet acts performed beneath falling snow, when no one is watching. And on that frozen Wyoming morning, a dog named Bruno showed the world what kindness truly looks like.